Okay, being it's a little after 10, we'll call our Transportation Advisory Committee meeting to order. First the order of business is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Thank you.
Second?
Second. The next item up for discussion is we have some quotes for some marketing assistance. Per MnDOT rules, I needed to do an RFP, and I got two proposals for that. And one of the proposals came in an email, the other came in a sealed envelope that I did not open. So I'll do that here in front of you all. Jill Brown is the one proposal. Jill did some marketing work for us about 2 years ago. MnDOT had a marketing ad hoc area, and Brown County was included in that, where Jill came in and did some work for us. So she was excited to do some more work for us when the proposal went out. So I do have her proposal here. The other one is from a Vantage Point Marketing. I don't exactly know. Looks like they're out of Morton, Minnesota. It was sent to the local folks here in New Ulm, but obviously they didn't respond. Not sure how to best do this. I guess I didn't really want to give this to you beforehand because, I needed to open it in front of everybody. Would it be best to
I can go run some copies real quick.
scan or put it on? Okay. So while Chris is doing that, we can maybe move along, if that's okay with everyone, for a potential start date for the new bus route. We are in the process of advertising for a new lead driver position. So that person would be the morning shift driver, and then the afternoon would be with other drivers. That person would also help Nate and I with the on-call duties and have some other managerial things as well. So that will close on the 27th. I don't know, Barb, do we think anybody from the city needs to be on, any from the committee needs to be on that hiring piece of it? I'm not sure if that's,
Certainly, we could have somebody from the city be on if they wanted to. I mean, technically, they're a Brown County employee.
Right.
But they're working for the city route, so certainly we could invite somebody from the city to participate in the interview process. I think that would be appropriate.
okay. Okay, and we can maybe have that discussion once City Manager Dalton gets back. And a potential start date, I'm gonna be gone for like a week and a half in mid-August, so I think the thinking was we would start it shortly after that, hopefully before Labor Day is a potential start date. I think that's pretty doable. We are picking up the bus from Trailblazer Transit. They've taken all their signage off. They've done a DOT inspection, which it can't even. The inspection is done, but they couldn't certify it because we don't have our DOT number on there. So our folks will have to do that as well. But he just wanted to make sure that that everything was ready. So that is ready to be picked up. I'm just working with the state to finalize their piece of it. And we are, Nate maybe wants to talk about what he's been working on to get that bus route ready.
Pat's been working on securing the bus. I've been working on all the technology we need for inside the bus. It's come to our understanding that Trailblazer took their camera system out of the bus. We have a used camera system that we took out of a bus about 4 years ago that's maybe 8 years old. So I'm trying to find somebody that can reinstall this camera system in the bus from Trailblazer. I did get a price quote for a new camera system. This is 4 cameras and a hard drive is $4,000. Well, that's what we're paying for the bus. So I gotta find somebody that can get the used system installed. I can't rely on Highway Department does a lot for us. but they got a lot of seal coating jobs coming up, so I'm out of luck there. A tablet in the charging dock that would list for the driver up in the cup holder. We have a dock that holds the tablet that would list their stops throughout the day, how they could add guests as they come and go on and off, all through the tablet. So that would provide easy reporting for us on a daily basis on how many people were on and off the bus. A video monitor on the bus. We could use a USB thumb drive to have the scrolling list of stops and other tips, going across a video monitor for the riders. We got to get some lettering on it. I don't know how much we want to spend for this temporary route bus to let everybody know it's the temporary route bus. SIDS and Fuel Graphics I'll get in touch with, but I kind of wanted to see what we should put on it first.
What's the role of the person, the consultant who's doing the marketing? Are they going to be doing some of the advising in terms of what would be put on the bus? Or
Right.
anything in regards to temporary signage? Is that part of what the bid is that was put out there for the marketing?
That was
person?
one of the things that we requested when we put the bid out there for them to come up with a name. I know Nate kind of thought that it might be exciting to have like some sort of a contest, locally where we have the people name the route bus to get some excitement before it starts. I don't know if that's in any of their proposals, obviously, or what, if they had any thoughts or ideas about, a name for the bus, because it has to have something on it, and we just,
Sure,
I
so
mean,
people can identify.
right, and maybe for the interim, since we're just using this for a short time, we could just probably put in on New Ulm City Route Bus, just name it just what it is, for the time being, and then, because we don't want to go crazy spending all sorts of money, graphicking it up, because it's really not, it's a very short-term solution, we're hoping within 6 months will be, something else. That's why we don't want to spend a lot of money on the cameras, but we don't want to put a bus out there on the road without cameras, because darn well there's going to be an incident, and if
Right.
we don't have it recorded, then we're opening ourselves up to because now we've got people on the bus that have not ridden on the bus before, or, have little experience, so, so there's more chance of tripping or whatever, or, making up a story. So we definitely want to have something in there. That's why we want to use one of our old systems. And I think we'll be successful. We'll find somebody that will be able to do that for us. So I'm pretty confident, and hopefully whoever installs the camera system will be able to install the television as well. And again, the reason for the television is if not, then the driver would need to announce each stop, and that could get quite mundane, if you're announcing 20 stops, every hour, so.
It draws their attention away from driving.
Exactly,
That's what they're there for.
right, yeah, and if somebody doesn't announce it loud enough or, such, then they're gonna have issues too, so, but, yeah, but. And Chris is passing out the two proposals that we have. Looks like the first one is from Vantage Point,
Lisa will bring the other one.
the outfit out of Morton. I don't know much about them. I do know that I believe they did some work with the system that Kathleen ran over in the southwest area, so I think they have some, they've done some work with transit, so that's a good thing. We would just want to take a minute, kind of look it over, and then we can talk about it, or?
Lisa will bring the other one down for
Okay.
Michelle Brown. That was
Yeah.
a little bit longer.
A little bit, yeah, she would,
Where does the money come from on this?
This was built into our budget already, so,
Much is in there?
$12,000 for the marketing piece, so. And then we have other marketing dollars too that, can help with this, so.
So it's all a part of your general budget?
Yeah, everything now is in the MnDOT budget. We used to break everything apart, like when we started that morning and after evening route, Tom, everything was broke down where you had to break down the costs for each. We're not doing that now. We're breaking down the costs only because the city piece of it. But if this was just all county run, we wouldn't need to break any of it down,
The city piece is in there.
This is, right, yep.
The whole city budget is separate.
It's separate for Brown County, but it's all in one pot,
Yeah.
yeah.
MnDOT looks at it as one budget
Right.
overall for Heartland Express. But then we have to separate it out, because obviously we're talking about a county-funded program and a city-funded program. I guess part of when we want to start the route might be dependent upon how far within this marketing proposal we want to be before we start it. Because when I look at the timelines in here, they talk about this taking 2 weeks, and then a month, and then 4 months. But I would
Right.
assume that the 4-month piece of it could be done as the route is
Right,
going.
exactly, yeah. And some of the meetings that she's talking about could be, I don't think it needs to be the whole TAC group, maybe just have an ad hoc committee of us that, because it's hard to get everybody together for, but when she presents a final, maybe that's when we'd have her come back, if that's, be okay with everybody. You guys have done some stuff like this, Chris. Does this look like a pretty, this proposal from Vantage Point look like something that would be, something you guys would be,
It checks all the boxes. I haven't looked at the other proposal, so I don't know what that dollar amount looks like. And again, on the management side, is that something that we can negotiate down? Because is it a 4-month, do we need them for 4 months to
Right.
manage? Or once we
Right.
have the plan, we have the logos and stuff, it falls on us, where we need them maybe for a month to go through and make sure we're using, correctly and stuff like that, make sure we're still on message. That would be my only kind of, and knock on the proposal would be that, but is that something we can, if we like their strategy or their proposal over Joe Brown, is that something we can talk to them about and see if we can, 1 or 2 months
Sure.
instead of the
Yep.
4?
right,
Yep.
yeah. So the timeline could be a little bit longer than what we actually need. So some of the price could be negotiated for that,
Yeah.
right? Mhm.
Maybe other different kind of marketing that we want to do outside of this marketing company or later on, so you don't necessarily want to use up all your dollars. Because
Right.
it limits your options after that.
Exactly. Mhm.
I would say, yeah, it's consistent, branding, imagery, voice, having that cohesive, it checks all the boxes.
Right, yeah. One of the things I pointed out that I was gonna kind of talk about her, how she talks about the branding, and how, the roadmap is kind of what she's calling it. Like you said, is the timeline seems a little bit long to me, but, we really didn't spell that out, real clear and, if we were doing this 3 months ago, that timeline probably would have been a little bit better. She talks about redoing a website. I know our county website is kind of limited when we had the other marketing piece. Jill worked with our website folks, and our county website is kind of tied down. I mean, you can't really do a whole lot of, fancy, like, if you ever look at like our folks over at True Transit, they have like a moving bus. They have like a drone of a bus driving through the country. And with our website, that's not possible. I don't know if your website is built for that, Chris. It seems like that's kind of more of a business thing than a city or county entity, I think, than.
Yeah, I mean, I could reach out to our web developer and see if that's something we could do. I don't think it's outside the realm to
Right.
potentially do something like that. It might have to be an embedded video or something like that. but I
Right,
think we can
yeah.
potentially do something like that.
Right. So I don't know if anyone else has anything else that jumped out at them.
I think I want to point out too that on the last page, when they talk about the proposed compensation, it says the production of any associated material, like bus wraps, print, billboards, et cetera, remains outside the scope of this proposal.
Yeah.
And also any costs associated with subscriptions for platform use or advertising costs are outside of the scope of this proposal. And I would think that that's a fairly significant cost that we're going to be looking at, is the actual cost of doing the advertising itself. So that would be of concern to me with $12,000 budget.
Right. It's good that you pointed that out. I do know the bus wrap would be something that, she would come up with the design, and then the wrap itself would be on us when we get the new bus. I've already visited with Field Graphics about that's that's something, and I've also visited with the company that's giving us the bus, that it comes just plain white, and that we make it how we want it,
I understand for the first bus here, the temporary, we wouldn't be doing wrapping of the
Right.
bus, but some kind of signage on it.
Right.
The
Yeah.
cost of that signage and any other kind of print advertising we would do sounds like it's outside of the scope
Right.
of this plan here, so.
Yeah, so that could be a little more spendier than the $12,000 that we're.
How big is this Vantage Point group? Are we talking?
It looks like two people, but it looks like they have other folks that they can tap into from and Jill Brown looks like she's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. For Jill Brown, if you look at her, she's under the project quote, she's listed out additional people on their hourly rate that they'll tap into if need be.
So they're similar size in terms of how they're
Right.
managed.
One suggestion that, that if we have another meeting, probably sooner rather than later, and just have both of them come to kind of present on what they want to do, because I think timelines in here seem kind of vague. I mean, they're, this one has ready to roll out the new bus in December, but if we're trying to get the bus out before December,
Right.
does that affect the timeline and hours? And then we, if we all have questions, we have more time to kind of look over the proposals, get questions ready, and then we can send them to them beforehand so they can prepare, and then they can present, kind of what they feel would be their timeline and things like that. I think that might be a little bit better, because, I mean, sitting here reading I can't tell which one would actually be better.
Right. I agree
at
with you.
this point. Purely on the, if you look at just dollar standpoint, Vantage Point has that edge, and I would go with them because potentially there's some more savings, where Jill Brown just has their hourly rate and says we've carved out $12,000 worth of time.
Right, that's a little harder to tell what you're going to get for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think if they were able to present and kind of, and maybe we can tell them, like, we want a more formal budget and then hourly rate, what would that entail?
Yes.
I think that would work out.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's, I think that's an ask we can
Yeah.
have of them to come and present their ideas to us.
I certainly like the experience that Jill and Berta bring as far as with transit services. It looks like they've done a lot of work in marketing in that area, so that's certainly a advantage.
They definitely have a MnDOT connection,
Yep.
Yeah,
which is important too.
Right.
well, the less research they have to do, the less time it goes into having them prepare the materials they need to, and the less cost.
Okay,
I
well,
like that idea of having them come and present to us, and
I
a little
can-
bit clearer on what it all covers, because like I said, I really would want to know the difference on the outside expenses that we would have in addition for advertising, the cost of brochures, all of that, because that's a significant, to me, would be a significant cost as well.
Yeah.
be what's involved in their package. We really can't, probably looking at this here.
Correct, yeah, yeah.
so I think that's a good point, and I think I will get in touch with both of them then and see if what they have for availability. We'd want to do both of them together, correct? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
rather than present one right after the other. Okay. Is there?
I'll make a motion to table to our next meeting and have both companies present their proposals.
Joe Brown and Vantage Point, okay.
I will do that.
Okay. So do we want to kind of pick a date then? It's obviously going to depend on them, but it's kind of, is there something coming up that everyone, I know it's vacation time and everything too, so
Do a doodle on that.
do a doodle poll?
Yeah.
I can do that, yeah. And I'll find out from them what their availabilities are and then,
Yeah.
okay.
But if we could do it within a couple weeks, it'd be
Weeks, for
great with
sure.
that, because
Yeah.
we are getting,
We are kind of, you're right, we are at that
what's that?
critical,
Moving along.
Yes.
we're at a critical time frame. I do
Right,
agree, yeah. So, yep, we can do that, and if it's not out of, I want to make sure, obviously, that, what we're doing is correct, and, and if that's an okay thing to do, and would they have the option if they wanted to do a Zoom? Would we be okay with that too? Because Jill would be coming from the city, where the other folks are coming from Morton, so it might be a little more difficult for Jill to, carve out a whole day, but
We
if,
do that here in this room?
Yeah, we can do Zoom in the room. She
Okay.
would be, they would be up on that TV and on our monitors,
Sure,
so.
maybe we could just have them both do it that way.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
that way they don't have the
Or we should
dollars,
do both.
because if we do pick them, then they'll probably charge us that they came here that day, in a somehow back around event, so.
it's easier to be fair and have
Yeah.
them both
Right.
done the same way.
Yeah, yeah, and they may choose to want to come, I don't know. So I'll give them that option,
Yeah.
that they could do Zoom or,
But
In
if one
person.
does it, the other needs to do it.
that's how you want it?
I think it would
Is that
be
the
an
most fair?
unfairness to have one come in person and the
Okay.
other one do Zoom.
Okay,
Yeah,
I will propose that to them too then.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe just do a Zoom then.
Yeah,
I think
we'll
it
do it by
just,
Zoom.
I'm just gonna, because otherwise, one's gonna say one and one's gonna say the other, and that, okay, so that's
Same
settled.
time, both Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. And how much time, is it like, you think 20 minutes
I
is
would
enough?
say, yeah, 20 minutes
Maybe,
per, so,
and then
and then a little room.
10
There'll be
minutes
10
for
minute
question and answer, so have them each be ready for that, you know, and if they take that much time, or if they don't take that much time, and then we'll make the decision at that time, and then maybe between now and then, we can all just read these proposals, and so if everyone's okay with that, I'm more than okay with that, because I've thought too, I thought, how are we gonna read these proposals and make a decision today? That would be awful tough.
And then I would say whatever date we pick, if we have questions, to get them to Pat probably 3 or 4 days prior, so he can send those out to
To them,
them so they can prepare.
sure,
Work out.
yeah. Okay. I'm not sure, oh, we did talk, Chris, while you were out of the room, would any city staff or anybody on the committee like to be a part of the hiring of our new lead driver, because that position does close June 28th, and I believe interviews are scheduled for the
In
week.
July 6th, I
Think it was a
6th or 7th.
Thursday. It's a Thursday. I know County Administrator Hanson, I don't know if he was able to be there. I kind of got the impression by his poll that he wasn't available that date, but
Oh, I didn't pay attention.
yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to maybe talk,
Yeah, I
Chris,
can-
with whoever you know, we'll have those in the Human Service Building, so.
Yeah.
Usually what we do is Nate's in the bus with a potential candidate for like 10, 15 minutes, kind of give them the roundabout. They come in, do the interview. I'd like Nate to be a part of that. So it's a little bit longer process than, you know, we have that 20 minutes while, you know, he's out in the bus that we're, you know, just, but it seems like that really, people then come into the job kind of a little more knowing what it's about, you know, than just all of a sudden, you know, because it is different. And you always find beneficial, you know, when we do talk to Nate afterwards, he gives us insight that we didn't see in the interview, because people talk a little more freely when he's just in there by himself, so. So we'll make sure we get those dates.
And
then
I'll let you know before the end of the week.
who you'd like. Okay, sounds good. That's okay, Barb, right? I mean, we're not, okay. Was there any other discussion that anyone had? I kind of
Just in
thought we were,
relation to maybe the rest of the drivers that we'd be looking at, because we'll probably be hiring a couple of additional part-time drivers. But we decided, or had talked about, hiring the lead driver position first, so that person could be a part of the interviews for somebody else. And the current bus drivers that we have through Heartland would be given the option as well, not only to apply for the lead bus driver position if interested, but also if they were interested and wanted to do one of the part-time positions with the city. So kind of have to, so we'll open that up, but we're going to wait until we hire the lead driver to do that.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. And then that person
We should
probably,
have time to be able to do that, I would say, if we're
I
looking
think so
at,
too, yeah.
because we still have to do the marketing
Right.
and signage and all of that. So it looks like mid-August would probably be the soonest that we
to
could
later.
start it, but we probably won't be able to really choose a date until we start working, choose a marketing company and start working with them,
Right,
and
yeah,
then look at a start date.
right.
But I think we're on target with hiring staff.
I think so too, yeah. I think it was important to get somebody in, that's for sure.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Any other discussion, any other? Hearing none, call the meeting adjourned. I have a first,
I will move to adjourn the meeting.
Barb, Aaron,
Second?
second, okay. Thank you, and I will get a hold of them and I will do a doodle poll since the first one was successful, and I have your email now, so. I don't know why I didn't have it, I just can't figure that out, but, so.
Sometimes mail just.